Hey everyone, Kvemi here with another Reddit story. Today's is one of the most unbelievable sagas I've ever come across. It's about a wife who took revenge on her husband after he cheated with her sister, only to get pregnant by his father. But that's just the start. The whole thing explodes at a family dinner when the DNA test results arrive, revealing a twist no one, especially her mother-in-law, saw coming. Settle in, enjoy the Minecraft in the background, and let's get into it. The title is I Slept with My Father-in-Law for Revenge, but the DNA test revealed the real father was someone else in the family. I never imagined my life would spiral into something out of a daytime drama, but here I am. My name is Lauren, and I'm 28 years old. Right now I'm parked outside a large family steakhouse, clutching the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles are white. Inside that establishment, every important person in my life is waiting. My own parents, his mother and father, my sister and my husband, and absolutely none of them are aware of the impending disaster. But I have to rewind, because this catastrophe began nearly 7 months ago, and you need the full context to understand my choices. I genuinely believed I had the perfect marriage. Leo and I had been a couple since university, married for 4 years. He was exactly the kind of man everyone admired. Charming, successful, the type of spouse who still brought me a cup of tea in bed on Sunday mornings. We owned a beautiful condominium in Maryland, held stable careers, and were actively trying to start a family. From all outward appearances, our life was flawless. My sister Nicole is 2 years my junior. Growing up, we were close. Not inseparable, but typically sisterly. She was always considered the prettier one, the life of the party. I was the dependable one, the high achiever who consistently made sensible choices. She drifted between jobs and relationships. I never held that against her. That was just Nicole's nature. She had been staying with us for 3 weeks last March. She'd just ended things with a boyfriend and required a temporary place to stay while she searched for a new apartment. Leo and I had a spare room, so it seemed like the obvious sisterly thing to offer. I should have trusted my intuition. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was scheduled to be at a corporate training event in New York, staying overnight, but the main speaker cancelled, leading to the event's sudden cancellation. I drove home unexpectedly early, around 8 p.m, stopping to pick up pizza as a surprise for Leo. When I entered, the house was silent except for the lights on the top floor. I called out but received no response. I assumed Leo was in his home office with headphones on, as he sometimes did when working on code. I carried the pizza box upstairs. The door to our main bedroom was shut, which was unusual. I pushed it open. They didn't even pause when I walked in. That is the detail that still makes my blood run cold. My husband and my sister, together in my bed, on my side of the mattress, so engrossed that they didn't register my presence for a full 5 seconds. When Nicole finally spotted me, she shrieked. Leo instantly shot up, scrambling to cover himself. The pizza crashed to the floor. I stood there paralysed, watching the pepperoni grease spread across the wood floor like an ominous stain. "Lauren, wait," Leo stammered. I didn't wait. I turned, walked straight out, got into my car, drove to a cheap motel, silenced my phone and sat in the dark room, staring blankly at the wall until dawn. The next several days passed in a disorienting haze. Leo called and sent hundreds of messages. Nicole did too. I blocked them both. I told my supervisor I had an urgent family crisis and took a week off work. I stayed confined to that motel room, trying desperately to formulate a plan. When I finally returned home, Leo was there alone. Nicole had moved out, he told me, gone to stay with a mutual friend. He wept, begged for forgiveness, swore it was a lapse in judgment, that it had only occurred twice, and he was about to end it, as if only twice made it remotely acceptable. He claimed Nicole had initiated it, that he had been weak and foolish, but that it meant nothing. He swore he would do anything to salvage our marriage. Therapy, counselling, whatever I required. And here is the part that makes me despise myself. A fragment of my heart desperately wanted to believe him. A fragment of me wanted to pretend it never happened and revert to our perfect life. Because divorce is an unimaginable hardship. Starting over felt impossible, and I still loved him, even though I knew I should be incapable of doing so. So, I remained. We started attending counselling sessions. He relocated to the guest room while we attempted to reconcile. I called my sister and informed her that she was dead to me. She cried and apologised, but I hung up mid-sentence. My parents remained unaware of the full scope of the betrayal. His parents, Victor and Ellen, knew nothing either. We told everyone that Nicole and I had a trivial argument about something minor, and we would resolve it eventually. Leo's parents, Victor and Ellen, had us over for dinner every Sunday, precisely as they always had. We smiled and maintained the illusion that everything was fine, but nothing was fine. I couldn't bear to sleep in our bed anymore. I couldn't look at Leo without seeing them together. The therapist insisted I needed time to recover, to reconstruct trust. But how do you reconstruct trust in two people who deliberately annihilated it together? 3 weeks into this new torment, I received a call from Victor, Leo's father. He asked if I would meet him for coffee that afternoon. He said he could sense that something was deeply wrong and wanted to privately check on me. Victor had always been exceptionally kind to me. He was 55 still, attractive in a distinguished grey-haired way. He had been a successful business consultant before taking an early retirement. Ellen was reserved, even cold. Victor, by contrast, was warm and sincere. He once told me I was the daughter he'd always wanted. We met at a downtown coffee shop. I ordered a latte I never touched. He addressed the issue directly. Leo told me what happened. He told me about your sister. My stomach plummeted. He told you? I pressed him for the truth. I knew something was destroying both of you. He finally confessed. Victor leaned forward, his expression grave. Lauren, I am so deeply sorry. What he did was inexcusable. And with your own sister. I burst into tears, right there in the coffee shop. This man, Leo's father, was the very first person who had genuinely acknowledged the depth of my devastation. The therapist spoke of healing and progress. My friend said marriage requires patience and that people make mistakes. But Victor looked at me and declared it unforgivable. I don't know what to do, I whispered. You don't have to decide today, he reassured me. But I want you to know that whatever path you choose, I support you. Even if you decide to leave him, even if that complicates things immensely, you deserve far better than what he subjected you to. We talked for 2 solid hours. He bought me lunch. He let me vent about everything. The raw betrayal, the utter humiliation, the impossibility of telling my own parents the real reason Nicole and I weren't speaking, knowing it would destroy them. When we hugged goodbye in the parking lot, something subtly shifted. Perhaps it was the sheer kindness when I'd felt nothing but pain for weeks. Perhaps it was the relief of feeling truly understood by someone. Perhaps it was something darker that I'm still unwilling to scrutinise. Thank you, I said, for actually caring. Always, he replied. I'm here whenever you need me. We began meeting once a week. Just coffee, just talking. He swiftly became my confessor, the sole person with whom I could be completely honest about how desperately I was struggling. Leo believed I was meeting my friend Jessie. I told him the space was beneficial for me, that I needed to process things with someone who wasn't him. Victor understood in a way no one else could. He had experienced his own marital turmoil, revealing that Ellen had had an affair years ago. They had worked through it, but he intimately understood the specific brand of pain I was feeling. The most agonising part, I confided to him one afternoon in his car after coffee, is that I still love Leo, even after everything. How pathetic is that? It's not pathetic, Victor said gently. It's simply human. Love doesn't just switch off. I wish it did. We were parked overlooking a river valley. It was May now, nearly 2 months since I'd caught them. 2 months of counselling, sleeping in separate rooms and pretending Sunday dinners were normal. Can I tell you something? Victor asked, not looking at me. Something I probably shouldn't say. Yes. Ellen and I haven't been happy in years. We remain together because it's easier than the alternative, because we're too established to start over. But every time I see Leo putting you through this, making you suffer, while he maintains this facade of remorse, it fills me with rage. He is remorseful. Is he? Or is he merely sorry he got caught? Victor finally looked at me. You are 28 years old, Lauren. You are intelligent and beautiful and kind. You could leave and construct an entirely new life. You do not have to settle for this. Everyone keeps telling me marriage requires hard work. There is work, and then there is staying with someone who didn't respect you enough to keep his hands off your sister in your own bed. The sheer bluntness of his statement hit me like a splash of cold water, because he was speaking the precise truth I'd been suppressing. Everyone else was sugarcoating the situation, softening the edges. But Victor was voicing exactly what I'd been thinking all along. "I should go," I said, but made no move to leave. "I'm sorry," he said. "I shouldn't have been so direct." "No, you should have. Everyone else is lying to me." I looked at him, truly looked at him. "You're the only one telling me the truth. The truth is that you deserve better. The truth is that my son is a fool. The truth is that if you were my wife, I would never..." He stopped abruptly. The atmosphere in the car became heavy, electric. "You would never what?" I asked quietly. He didn't answer. He just looked at me with an expression I recognised, something I'd been trying to ignore for weeks. I kissed him first. That is a crucial detail to admit. Whatever else transpires, whatever judgments are made, I initiated the kiss. He pulled back for a split second, clearly conflicted, and then he kissed me back. We didn't consummate the relationship that day. We simply kissed in his car like teenagers, then sat in stunned silence. "This can't happen," Victor finally whispered. "I know this is madness. I know I'm his father, I know." But it had already happened. The following week and the week after, we would meet for coffee and end up at a secluded bed and breakfast. We were cautious, borderline paranoid. Different places every time. Cash payments, meticulous avoidance of any paper trail. The crushing guilt was overwhelming initially. What I was doing was objectively worse than Leo's infidelity. At least he and Nicole were contemporaries. At least there wasn't this additional layer of grotesque betrayal. But then I would return home and see Leo in the guest room aimlessly scrolling his phone, and I would think about them together, about how he had looked at my sister, about how she had betrayed me just as fundamentally as he had. And the guilt would recede, replaced by something that felt dangerously close to justice. Victor made me feel desired in a way Leo hadn't in months. He was attentive, focused. He asked about my day and genuinely listened. The age difference didn't bother me as much as I expected. He was simply him. And with him, I wasn't the humiliated wife. I was just Lauren. "I'm falling for you," he confessed in June. We were lying in a hotel room in Boston. That wasn't supposed to happen. "I know," I said. "What are we doing?" "I don't know." Leo had been pressing for us to move back into the same bedroom. The counsellor suggested physical intimacy was vital for re-establishing connection, but I couldn't bear the thought of letting him touch me. Not knowing what he had done, not while I was sleeping with Victor. Then, in late June, my period was late. Initially, I dismissed it as stress. Everything with Leo, the secret affair with Victor, the ongoing charade to everyone around me. My body was likely just reacting to the intense chaos. But when the next month passed with no period either, I took a test. Positive. I took 4 more tests. All positive. I collapsed onto my bathroom floor and desperately tried to recall the last time Leo and I had been intimate. It was before I caught him with Nicole. Maybe late February, 4 months prior. Victor and I had been together for 6 weeks. We had been cautious most of the time, but there had been a moment, maybe twice, when we had gotten lost in the moment and forgotten precautions. I ran the calculations repeatedly. Technically, the baby could be Leo's, given the late February window. I would have conceived right at the absolute end of the time frame, but it was far more likely to be Victor's. Much more likely. I called Victor in a panic. We met at our usual spot by the river. "I'm pregnant," I stated the moment I got into his car. His face went ashen. "Are you certain?" 5 tests, certain. Could it be... I don't know. Possibly Leo's. Probably yours. We sat in silence. The sun was setting over the water, painting the sky orange and pink. Beautiful. The world remained indifferent to the fact that my life was imploding. "What do you want to do?" Victor finally asked. "I don't know. Do you want to keep it?" I placed my hand on my belly. A baby. My baby. "Yes," I said. "I want to keep it." "Okay." He took my hand. "Okay, then we figure this out." "How?" "I don't know yet, but I will be here, whatever you need." That night I told Leo I was pregnant. His face lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. Pure, unadulterated joy. He picked me up and spun me around, weeping, insisting this was a sign that we were going to survive. I felt like an absolute monster, but in a perversely twisted way, I also felt justified. He had stolen everything from me, and now I was, taking something, or perhaps giving him something in return. I couldn't tell anymore. The pregnancy hormones intensified everything. I cried constantly, argued with Leo over trivialities, and stopped seeing the counsellor because I couldn't look her in the eye and continue the lie. Victor and I still met, but the nature of our meetings changed. No more hotels, just coffee and talking, planning. He was supportive but terrified. If the baby was his, everything would be exposed. His marriage would end. His relationship with Leo would be irreparably damaged. I would be branded as the woman who slept with her father-in-law. Maybe we just don't find out, I suggested in August. I was 3 months along. Maybe we just let Leo think it's his. You could do that, I don't know, could you? He didn't answer. Leo became obsessed with the pregnancy. He devoured parenting books, started setting up the nursery. He moved back into our bedroom declaring, "We're a family now." I permitted it, because what other choice did I have? Ellen noticed the distance between Victor and me. She brought it up at Sunday dinner in September. "You two used to be so close," she noted. "Did something happen?" "Just busy with the pregnancy," I quickly replied. First trimester was rough. But Ellen's eyes lingered on Victor, then on me, with a look that suggested she was watching for something. That night, Victor texted me, "We need to be more careful. E is suspicious." But how do you remain careful when the evidence is growing inside you? In October, I reached my limit. The relentless lying, the pretense, the fact that Leo was meticulously painting the nursery yellow and choosing baby names when the child might not even be his. "I want a paternity test," I told Victor by the river. "While you're pregnant, that's risky." "No, after. As soon as the baby is born, I need to know. And if it's yours, then I tell everyone the truth." "Lauren, that will destroy everything." "Everything is already destroyed, Victor. This just makes it visible." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Okay, if that's what you want, I'll take the test. But we do it privately first. We find out the results before we tell anyone." I agreed. We selected a lab, made a concrete plan. After the birth, we would both go separately and provide DNA samples. Results in 3 days. But then Ellen found text messages. It was mid-October. Victor had been careless, leaving his phone on the kitchen counter. The messages between us weren't explicit, but they were sufficient. Meeting times. "I miss you. We need to talk about the baby." Ellen confronted him. He broke down and confessed everything. She called me that night. I was lying in bed next to Leo, who was rubbing my feet and discussing nursery themes. "You need to come over," Ellen said, her voice like ice. "Now, without Leo." My blood turned cold. "Ellen, now." I told Leo I needed to run to the pharmacy for pregnancy supplements. I drove to their house with my heart in my throat. Ellen answered the door. Victor was sitting on the sofa, his head buried in his hands. Ellen looked at me with such concentrated hatred, I nearly turned and ran. "So it's true," she said. "You've been sleeping with my husband." "Ellen, don't you dare offer excuses." She stepped closer. "How long?" "Since May." "And the baby?" "I don't know whose it is." She laughed sharp and bitter. "You don't know. Of course you don't, because you've been sleeping with both of them. Leo and I were barely together after he cheated on you with your sister." "Yes, Victor told me. He told me everything. And you know what's hilarious? I actually felt sorry for you when he first told me what Leo did. I thought, that poor girl. She doesn't deserve that." Ellen's eyes filled with tears. "And then you turned around and did this." "I'm sorry." "You're not. You're just sorry you were caught. Just like Leo was, just like Victor was when I cheated on him 10 years ago. Everyone is always sorry afterwards." She wiped her eyes. "Here's what's going to happen. You are going to get that paternity test. And if that baby is Victor's, I'm going to ensure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. Your parents, your friends, everyone. And if it's Leo's, then we all pretend this never occurred. You stay away from Victor. We go back to Sunday dinners and playing happy family because I'm not losing my marriage and my reputation because you couldn't handle your husband's infidelity like a mature adult." I looked at Victor. He refused to meet my gaze. "Okay," I said. I drove home in a daze. Leo was asleep. I lay awake next to him all night, feeling the baby move, contemplating whose child was inside me. The next few weeks were torture. Ellen informed Victor they were working on their marriage. which meant he couldn't contact me. I attended my medical appointments alone. Leo sensed my distress, but attributed it to pregnancy hormones. Nicole reached out in November. She had heard I was pregnant, wanted to congratulate me, wanted to apologise again for everything, said she missed me. I blocked her number. My due date was December 22nd. I went into labour on December 20th, 2 days early. Leo drove me to the hospital, held my hand through contractions, and wept when they placed our daughter in my arms. She was perfect. 7 pounds, dark hair, Leo's nose. Or maybe Victor's nose. I couldn't tell. We named her Grace. Leo immediately called everyone from the hospital room. His parents, my parents. He even tried to call Nicole, but I stopped him. Maybe it's time to fix things with your sister, he said gently. Family is important, especially now. I wanted to scream, family is important. This from the man who destroyed our family by sleeping with my sister? But I just managed, not yet. Victor and Ellen came to visit the next day. Ellen hovered over Grace, playing the doting grandmother. Victor barely looked at her or at me. She's beautiful, Ellen said, holding Grace. She has your eyes, Lauren. I couldn't discern if that was a simple observation or a veiled threat. We returned home 3 days later. Leo was the perfect father, changing diapers, managing night feedings, gazing at Grace as if she were a miracle. Which she was, just perhaps not his miracle. I had scheduled the DNA test for December 28th, the day after Christmas. Leo was unaware, Victor knew. Ellen definitely knew. The plan was simple. I would take Grace to a paediatrician's appointment. Victor would visit the same lab an hour later. Results by December 31st. But then Leo suggested we host a large family dinner on December 31st. Both families meet the baby properly. His parents, my parents, everyone together. I even reached out to Nicole, he added. I know you're not ready, but she's Grace's aunt. Maybe seeing the baby will help you guys reconnect. I stared at him. You invited Nicole? My mum has been asking why she hasn't met Grace yet. We can't keep lying to everyone. We? The word came out sharp. You mean I can't keep covering up what you did? Leo's face fell. I thought we were past this. Past it, Leo. It's been 9 months. 9 months isn't past it. Then when? When will it be enough? I've done everything. Counselling, space, whatever you needed. We have a daughter now. When do we move forward? In a way, he was correct. If I was staying, I had to genuinely commit. Commit or leave, but I couldn't do either because I didn't know whose baby I was holding. Fine, I said. Invite everyone. December 31st. The same day, I would receive the DNA results. The following week dragged by. Christmas came and went. Grace was 5 days old, tiny and perfect, and entirely unaware that her existence was about to detonate 2 families. I took her to the lab on the 28th. They swabbed her cheek. It took 30 seconds. The technician smiled and said results would be available by the 31st. Both fathers listed will be notified by email, she said. Both fathers. The phrase made me feel physically ill. That night, Leo found me crying in the nursery. Hey, he said softly. What's wrong? Everything, I lied. Just hormones. And tired. He put his arms around me. You're an amazing mum. Grace is so lucky. I almost told him everything right then. Almost confessed the revenge, but then I remembered him with Nicole, and the words died in my throat. December 31st arrived. The dinner was scheduled for 6 p.m. at Victor and Ellen's house. The DNA results would be emailed at noon. I woke up at dawn checking my email every 5 minutes. Leo noticed, but thought I was just nervous about seeing Nicole. It'll be fine, he said. She's your sister. You guys will work it out. At 11:50 a.m, I locked myself in the bathroom with my phone, staring at my email. Refresh, refresh, refresh. At 12:03 p.m, it arrived. Subject, DNA test results, case number 923847. My hand shook so violently I could barely open it. The email contained a PDF attachment. I downloaded it, opened it, read the results, and my entire world fractured. The probability of paternity for subject A, Leo Morrison, 0%. The probability of paternity for subject B, Victor Morrison, 0%. I read it 3 times, 4 times, neither of them. Grace wasn't Leo's baby and she wasn't Victor's baby, but that was utterly impossible. I hadn't been with anyone else. There was literally no one else it could be. Unless... Oh my God. I called the lab immediately. I asked to speak to someone. A woman answered, explaining she was the geneticist who had processed my case. There must be a mistake, I said. Neither father is a match. There's no mistake. However, I should mention something interesting. Subject B showed a partial match, consistent with a first-degree relative. Uncle, grandfather, that range. If you're looking for the biological father, you might want to test Subject B's close male relatives. Victor's close male relatives. Leo, but Leo had tested at 0%. Wait, I said slowly. What if Subject A and Subject B are father and son? That would explain the partial match. Yes. If Subject B is the grandfather, then who is the father? You'd need to test other potential candidates. Do you have... I hung up. Leo had a brother, Dennis. He lived in California. I'd met him twice. Once at our wedding, once at Christmas 3 years ago. Dennis, who looked almost exactly like Leo. Dennis, who had been in Maryland last February for a business meeting. Dennis, who had stopped by the house one afternoon when Leo was at work and I was home alone. He'd stayed for coffee. We'd talked about his recent divorce, about how difficult it was starting over. He'd been kind, empathetic, and understanding, and I'd been so furious at Leo already, not about Nicole yet, that came later, but about other things, small betrayals, neglect. I'd felt utterly invisible in my own marriage. Dennis had made me feel seen. It was one afternoon, one single time. I'd instantly blocked it out, felt guilty for months. It was before Nicole, before everything exploded, and I'd honestly forgotten about it in the sheer chaos that followed. But the timing, late February, right before I caught Leo and Nicole. Oh my God. Grace wasn't Leo's baby. She wasn't Victor's baby. She was Dennis's baby, which meant Victor was her grandfather, which explained the partial match. And Leo was her uncle. I sat on the bathroom floor and laughed, then cried, then laughed again. The universe had played the most insane, convoluted joke in history. I'd spent 7 months believing I was pregnant by my father-in-law, consumed by the guilt of that affair, planning for that catastrophic revelation. But the actual truth was somehow even more complex. My daughter's father was my husband's brother, the man I'd slept with once in a moment of weakness before everything fell apart. And today at 6 p.m, both families were gathering. Nicole would be there. My parents, Victor and Ellen. Leo. Ellen thought she was about to expose me for sleeping with her husband and having his baby. She'd been sitting on this information, waiting for the DNA test to confirm it, ready to detonate her bomb in front of everyone. But the bomb was different than she thought. I needed to call Dennis. I needed to tell him. But his email from the lab would arrive soon too. He'd been listed as Subject C at my last-minute request to the lab that morning, when the possibility had occurred to me. I'd pretended it was just for thoroughness. His results would show 99% probability of paternity. My phone rang. "Victor, did you get the results?" he asked. "Yes, and it's not yours." Silence. "Then Leo's?" "No, but how?" "Lauren, who else?" "I'll explain tonight. We're still doing dinner, right? Ellen's planning to tell everyone. She thinks it's yours. She's going to destroy you in front of both families." Let her try. I hung up before he could respond. The next call was to Dennis. It went to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. I spent the afternoon preparing. Dressed Grace in the outfit my mum had bought her. A little yellow sundress with white trim. Did my own makeup meticulously. I wanted to look composed for this. Leo kept asking if I was all right. I said I was fine, just nervous about seeing everyone. At 5:30 p.m, my phone buzzed. A text from a California number. "We need to talk. I got a lab email." "What the hell is going on, Lauren?" I wrote back. "Come to your parents' house tonight. 6 p.m, I'll explain everything." "I'm in California." "Then get on a plane." "This can't wait." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "I'm coming," which meant he wouldn't make it by 6, but that was fine. The first bomb would go off without him. He could be the second explosion. We drove to Victor and Ellen's at 5:45 p.m. I held Grace in her car seat. Leo drove, humming along to the radio. Happy, clueless. My parents were already there when we arrived. My dad hugged me, cooed at Grace. My mum cried happy tears. I can't believe you and Nicole are in the same room, she whispered. This is such a healing moment. Nicole stood in the corner with a glass of wine. She looked thinner, sadder. When our eyes met, she started crying. I'm so sorry, she mouthed. I looked away. Victor and Ellen played the hosts. Ellen kept giving me meaningful glances, the DNA results glance. She thought she had me, thought tonight was my reckoning. She had no idea. We all sat down for dinner at 6:15 p.m. Ellen had prepared a whole spread. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, the works. Everyone passed dishes and made small talk. My dad told a dreadful joke. Leo's mother asked about Grace's feeding schedule. Nicole sat across from me, not eating, just staring at her plate. Leo sat next to me, gently bouncing Grace on his knee. She looks like you, my mum said to him. She didn't. She looked like Dennis. At 6:30 p.m, Ellen stood up. Before we have dessert, I'd like to say something. Here it comes. This year has been exceptionally challenging for our families, Ellen began. There have been secrets, betrayals, things that have divided us. My mother looked confused. My father put down his fork. But we're here tonight because of this beautiful baby, because family is important, because we have to be honest with each other. Ellen looked directly at me. Isn't that right, Lauren? Yes, I said calmly. Honesty is important. So I think it's time we all knew the truth about who Grace's father really is. Leo's face went white. Mum, what are you? The truth is, Ellen continued, that Lauren had an affair with someone at this table. Chaos! My mother gasped. Nicole's wine glass slipped, red liquid spreading across the white tablecloth. And that person, Ellen declared, turning to Victor, is my husband. My father stood up, shouting. My mother started crying. Leo looked at me with such raw betrayal, I almost felt bad. Almost. Nicole sputtered. What? Victor sat frozen, not denying a thing. Leo stood up, still holding Grace. Tell me she's lying. I can't, I said quietly. You slept with my father? Yes. He looked like I'd physically struck him. When? After I found you with my sister. For months. I was with Victor for months. Nicole made a choking sound. My mother whispered something in Italian. A prayer or a curse. Leo turned to his father. Dad? Victor finally met his son's eyes. I'm sorry. You're sorry. Leo's voice cracked. You're sorry? But here's the thing, I said loudly, standing up. Everyone looked at me. Grace isn't Victor's baby. Ellen's triumphant expression faltered. What? I got the DNA results today. Victor isn't the father. That's impossible, Ellen insisted. You were with him. You admitted it. I was, but he's not the father. Then who? Leo started to demand. The doorbell rang. Everyone froze. Ellen looked at Victor. Who else is coming? I don't know, Victor said, but he was staring at me. I walked to the door and opened it. Dennis stood there, still in his travel clothes. His hair was dishevelled. He looked exhausted. He looked exactly like Leo. Dennis, Ellen said from behind me. What are you doing here? Dennis stepped inside, his eyes finding me. Then Grace, in Leo's arms. Recognition flickered across his face. Tell them, I instructed. Tell us what? Leo demanded. Dennis looked at his brother, at his parents, at everyone staring at him. I'm Grace's father, he said. The second bomb. More chaos. Louder this time. My father demanded explanations. My mother sobbed hysterically. Ellen screamed at Dennis, at me, at everyone. Leo stood perfectly still, holding Grace, looking between me and his brother, as if his mind couldn't process the information. It was one time, Dennis clarified. Last February. I was in town for work. I stopped by the house. We talked. We had coffee and we... One time. Leo's voice was dead. One time with my wife and you got her pregnant. I didn't know, Dennis said. I swear I didn't know until I got a lab email today asking me to consent to a paternity test. I didn't even know Lauren was pregnant. Because you live in California and never call, Ellen hissed. Because you're never a part of this family. Neither are you, apparently, Dennis shot back. Lauren told me what you were planning to do tonight. Expose her in front of everyone. Real classy, Mum. Nicole hadn't uttered a single word. She just stared at me with wide, horrified eyes. Say something, I urged her. What do you want me to say? That you're sorry, that you regret sleeping with my husband in my bed, that you understand why I did what I did. I do, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Lauren. I've been sorry every day since it happened. You should be. I turned to Leo. And you? You destroyed us. You took everything good we had and threw it away for what? A few nights with my sister. Was it worth it? No, Leo said. He was crying now, still holding Grace. God, no, it wasn't worth anything. I'm so sorry. You're all sorry. Everyone's so sorry. I looked around the room. But sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't undo what you did. What I did. What we all did to each other. My mother stood up. I can't. I need air. She walked out to the patio. My father followed her. So what now? Ellen asked coldly. What's your grand plan, Lauren? You've successfully destroyed 2 families. Do you feel vindicated? I feel tired, I said honestly. I feel like everyone in this room betrayed someone. You cheated on Victor 10 years ago. Victor cheated on you with me. Leo cheated on me with my sister. I cheated on Leo with Victor and Dennis. Nicole betrayed me with Leo. We're all terrible people except Grace. We're all terrible people except Grace, Dennis said quietly. He was looking at his daughter for the first time. She's innocent in all this. Leo looked down at the baby in his arms, the baby who wasn't his. What am I supposed to do with this information? I thought I was her father. You raised her for 2 weeks, I countered. You're not her father, you're her uncle. Does that matter? Leo asked, and his voice was so broken it actually hurt. Does biology matter more than the fact that I love her? That I've been there every night? That I would die for her? That question stopped me because he was right. Biology was just biology. Leo had been Grace's father in every way that mattered for 2 weeks. Dennis was a stranger who had just walked in the door. I don't know, I admitted. I want to be in her life, Dennis said. You have a right to nothing, Leo snapped. You slept with my wife and disappeared. You don't get to show up now and claim Father of the Year. Neither do you, Victor said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. Leo, you're her uncle. Dennis is her biological father. But neither of you has more claim than the other, unless Lauren decides. Unless Lauren decides, Leo repeated bitterly. That's rich. Lauren, who's been lying for months. Lauren, who slept with my father and my brother. Sure, let's let her decide. You slept with her sister, Nicole finally shouted. You don't get to judge her, and you don't get to defend her. You're part of why this happened. Stop, I commanded. Everyone stop. Silence fell. Grace started fussing. Leo automatically started rocking her, then seemed to realise what he was doing and looked at me helplessly. I took her from him, held my daughter close. Here's what's going to happen, I declared. Leo and I are getting divorced. That's non-negotiable. What you did with Nicole killed us. What I did with Victor killed us. We're done. Leo's face crumpled, but he nodded. Dennis, you can be in Grace's life if you want, but you don't get to just show up and play dad. You live in California. You have a life there, so we'll figure out something that makes sense. Okay, Dennis agreed. And Leo. I looked at my soon-to-be ex-husband. If you want to be in Grace's life too, as her uncle, I'm not going to stop you. You've been good to her. That matters. Thank you, he whispered. I turned to Ellen and Victor. Your marriage is your business, but I'm done being your secret. Done being your weapon against each other. Whatever you two need to work it out without me. Ellen opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. She looked old, suddenly exhausted. Finally, I looked at Nicole, my sister, who had betrayed me in the most hurtful way possible, but who also looked completely shattered. I'm not ready to forgive you, I said. I don't know if I ever will be, but you're my sister, and you're Grace's aunt, so we'll figure out what that looks like eventually. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. Nicole nodded, tears streaming down her face. My parents came back in from the patio. We're leaving, my dad said. We need time to process this, all of it. Okay, I said. They hugged me, kissed Grace, didn't say goodbye to anyone else. After they left, I gathered Grace's things. I'm going to a hotel, I announced. I can't, I need space from all of you. Let me drive you, Dennis offered. No, I need to be alone. I walked out of that house with my daughter, leaving behind both families sitting in ruins. The hotel room was quiet. Grace slept in her portable crib. I sat on the bed and finally allowed myself to feel everything. The betrayal, the anger, the guilt, the absolute screaming insanity of it all. My husband had cheated with my sister, so I'd slept with his father and his brother and gotten pregnant, and now everyone knew everything. And there was no possible return. I'd achieved my revenge. I'd detonated my nuclear bomb. And in the blast radius was everyone I'd ever cared about. Was it worth it? I looked at Grace sleeping peacefully. She had Dennis's nose, Leo's chin, my eyes. She was a patchwork of our collective mistakes, and she was perfect. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It's Nicole. I got your number from Mum. I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need you to know something. I almost deleted it. Almost blocked the number, but something compelled me to read the next message. I slept with Leo because I was jealous of you. Because you had everything I wanted. A husband who loved you. A nice house, a good job. A life that made sense. I wanted to ruin it. And I did. And I've hated myself every single day since. Another message. But the truth is, Leo pursued me. I was staying in your house, and he came to my room that first night. Said you two were fighting, that he felt invisible, that I made him feel seen. I should have said no. I should have told you, but I didn't. And that makes me a terrible person. I stared at the messages. Leo had pursued her. That didn't absolve Nicole, but it changed things slightly, making the betrayal less about her actively destroying my marriage and more about two selfish people, taking what they wanted without caring who they hurt. I didn't respond, just set my phone down and watched my daughter sleep. 3 days later, I signed a lease on a new apartment, filed for divorce, and started the painful process of constructing a new life that didn't include Leo, or Victor, or Sunday dinners, or pretending. Dennis flew back to California, but we video called twice a week. He started sending money for Grace, started making concrete plans to relocate back to Maryland in a few months. Leo sent flowers with a card that read, "I'm sorry for everything. I hope someday you can forgive me." I threw them away. Victor called once. I didn't answer. Ellen sent an email that simply read, "I hope you're happy." I deleted it. My parents came to visit the new apartment, brought food, sat with Grace, and didn't ask questions. My mother pulled me aside before they left. "What you did was wrong," she said. "But what was done to you was wrong first. I'm not saying that makes it acceptable, but I understand why you needed revenge." "Did I take it too far?" I asked. She looked at Grace. "You have a beautiful daughter. That's not too far. That's a blessing disguised as a mistake." Nicole reached out again in January. Asked if she could meet Grace. I said no. Then I said, maybe. Then finally I said yes. She came to the apartment on a Tuesday afternoon, brought toys she had bought, sat on the floor, and cried when Grace grabbed her finger. "She's perfect," Nicole whispered. "She is. I don't deserve to be in her life." "No," I agreed. "You don't. But I'm tired of punishing people. I'm tired of being angry. So if you want to be Aunt Nicole, you can be, but you have to earn it." "I will," she promised. "I'll spend the rest of my life earning it." I don't know if I believe her, but I'm willing to try. Leo asked if he could come by in February, 2 months after the dinner, after the explosion. I said yes. He sat on my couch, holding Grace, looking at her like she was still his miracle, even though she wasn't. "I miss you," he said. Not like getting back together. I just miss you being in my life." "I miss who you used to be," I said, "before you destroyed us. Can I still see her? Can I still be Uncle Leo?" I wanted to say no, wanted to tell him he'd forfeited that, right when he slept with my sister. But watching him with Grace, seeing how gentle he was, how much he loved her, even though she wasn't his, I couldn't do it. "Yes," I said. "You can see her." He cried, thanked me, left after an hour. I'm not the hero of this story. I need to be perfectly clear about that. I'm not some wronged woman who received justified revenge. I'm someone who was deeply hurt and who retaliated by hurting others in return. I became exactly what I hated. Maybe worse. But I'm also a mother now, and that changes everything. Grace doesn't care about DNA or betrayals, or who slept with whom. She only cares that she is loved. And she is. By me. By Dennis, who is trying to be a good father from a distance. By Leo, who loves her like she's his, even though she's not. Even by Nicole, who babysits once a week now, and is slowly, painfully becoming my sister again. Victor and Ellen are getting divorced. She moved out in March. He sent me a detailed letter apologising for everything, for dragging me into his marriage's dysfunction, for not being stronger. I haven't responded. Sometimes I think about that moment in February when Dennis knocked on my door. That one afternoon, that changed everything. If I'd said no, if I'd made him leave, if I'd been stronger or better or less angry at Leo, but I wasn't. And Grace exists because I wasn't. She's 6 months old now. She has 4 teeth and is starting to crawl. She laughs at everything. She doesn't know yet that her family is a disaster, that her father is her uncle's brother, that her grandmother tried to destroy her mother, that nothing about her existence makes conventional sense. All she knows is love. And maybe that's all that is truly required. That wraps up today's Reddit story. Thanks for hanging out with me while we went through that wild, messy, impossible truth. Kavemi here, signing off. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Lauren's final decision. Keeping everyone in Grace's life. Leo as uncle, Dennis as dad, and Nicole as aunt. Does that count as a new kind of family? Stick around for more stories with the usual Minecraft vibes in the background. I'll see you in the next one.